All right, a couple other things. Let's go to page 18 where everybody starts. Really, I'm trying to show you some of the most confusing parts. Page 18, but I'm trying to make sense. Page 18, I'm going back now. Rabbi Yossi the Galilean says, my bet is that a lot of Seder's, they skip this, all right? And even I have trouble explaining it to my grandchildren why it's here. Rabbi Yossi the Galilean says, they didn't really send 10 plagues on Egypt. They sent 30, 40, 50. And if you read down page 18, he starts giving a lot of imagination why it really wasn't 10. We really got them. It was 20, it was 30, it was 50. It says 10, but it means more. What is this? This is beefing up the story, right? Page 18, trying to elaborate. It really was more. It's like, it's like you go, and this is my favorite analogy. When you go to a sporting event, you see something really great. If you talk to 3 people, we don't see that so much, but not on our team. Don't laugh, wrestler. He's a fellow sufferer. So if you see something really great, you go to the water cooler on Monday and Tuesday, and you talk about it, and you elaborate it. You try to, boy, that was fantastic, and this and that. And everybody adds a little bit, in recounting it. That's what this is. It's the water cooler on Monday morning after the Exodus saying, you think it was 10? It was 20, 30, 40, 50, and that's what this is all about. All right? All right, let's go to a couple other spots, and I'll leave some time for questions, I promise you. I'm almost finished. Oh, the 10 plagues on page 16. 10 plagues. A late addition, by the way. Late addition, we didn't see that in the Mishnah. We didn't see it in the Torah, we did in the Mishnah. The 10 plagues was in the Middle Ages added. Middle Ages. They say that's a long time ago, Rabbi, not in Jewish history. The 10 plagues is 700, 800 years old in the Seder. The rest of the Seder goes back to the Mishnah in the 1st century. All right? So what's the 10 plagues? We all know the rabbinic interpretation that the 10 plagues is to sympathize with, we had to kill all the Egyptians. If you look in the Torah, by the way, it says in chapter 12 of Exodus, it says when they brought hell down on Pharaoh, right? It says the firstborn were slain and the prisoners in jail were slain. The firstborn, I say that, why the prisoners? They were prisoners. What did they do? They were in jail. So the answer, there's a lot of midrash on it. That's how I thought about it. But there's a lot of answers that they sympathized with the Egyptians and they said, the Jews are getting it, so we don't get it, right? But the 10 plagues is really, I'll tell you what it's all. The 10 plagues, if you read the early commentators, it's like spitting on the floor. Not on us. You got it? Nobody. When you say something, maybe your mother spit on the floor.
It shouldn't happen.
My mother didn't spit on the floor. I'm close, so I neat. Her mother did. Evil eye. Shouldn't happen to us. Let me placate whoever did it. Shouldn't happen. That's really what the 10 plagues is about originally. We like to give these fanciful interpretations, which are fine. They're fine. Sympathizing with the downtrodden, it's true. It's true. That's not what it's about. It's really about, shouldn't happen to us. I'll spill a little bit. Stay away from me. All right? If you read the early commentators, it says, Lo aleinu, shouldn't happen to us. Spill the wine. Okay. Songs at the end I want to talk about. Then we'll open up for questions. We know why they're there, but they're serious songs, okay? Turn to 44. 44. I hope you in the school are listening because you can do this with your kids. All right. 44 is Adir Hu. God is mighty. God is speedy. God is nice. God is... If you ask the kids today, I would give me a synonym for God is great, right? A synonym. They'll always say awesome. Yeah. Awesome. That's their adjective. That's fine. This is saying there's more adjectives than awesome for God, or godol. So you ask them there, these are the synonyms for God is great of the Haggadah. Adirhu, Bochorhu, Hodorhu, Adir is dear, Bochor is chosen, Godol is big. Dogel comes from Degel, which means special, like a flag. And Tohor in verse 9 means clean, ritually clean. Yochid is unique. So you can translate it in different ways. But Melech, so this is synonyms for God. Let's see how many we can think of. And there's about 30 in there. That's what order here is for. Echad mi yodea. All right, here goes. What's echad mi yodea? Who knows one of those? Who knows? By the way, sorry. At my table, what I do is somebody asks, usually me, what are you laughing for?
Because you're funny.
I didn't say my punchline, Chris. Somebody asks, Echad mi yodea. Who knows one? And I have people on the table answer. Echad ani yodea. So this person answers, now my grandchildren are doing it. Echad ani yodea. If somebody doesn't know in Hebrew, I'll let them do it in English. Then you go, who knows two? Then another person says, I know two shnayim ani yodea. Shnei luchot habrit. And then the first person says, one, I know. Then you go to 3, 4, and keep going backwards. In other words, you go around the table. It's fun. But what's the serious thing about this? What this is saying is, what this song is saying, it's not just the Exodus from Egypt. Other great things happened to us under God's domain. What were they? 4 patriarchs, 4 matriarchs, 6 books of the Mishnah, 7 days of the week to Shabbos, etc., etc., etc. So it's giving other religious markers beside the Exodus from Egypt. That's why this was added. That's the meaning. Now let's go to the last thing and then I'll answer questions. Ready? Haggadah. All right? What's the Haggadah is actually the most serious of the theme. Believe it or not. What's the theme of Haggadah?
Well, God kills death.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Haggadah is symbolic of the Jewish people.
Is what?
Symbolic of the Jewish people.
Right. God exactly. God kills death. That's the last verse. That the Malach HaMovet, the angel of death, is killed by God. So we don't stress a lot what happens after death. We don't do that in Judaism, as you know. But the Haggadah is one place where we do it. Now, it doesn't say exactly how. It's talking about the Messiah and the bodies, you know, the body will be redeemed, revived. But the point of this is death doesn't prevail. God prevails. Now, you can give any interpretation of that you want, but that's what this song says at the end of the Seder. Okay, let's have time for some questions now. I hope this has been helpful. Yes, Jules?
Rabbi, the Haggadah is it seems to be like a moving target. Every person around, every people change it almost at will.
Good point.
Is there a place where you say you can't do that?
That's a very good question. Thank you. That's a great question. The Haggadah is the most fluid sacred text in Jewish history, meaning, I don't remember the exact number, but the number of editions of the Haggadah is more than the number of editions of the Siddur, historically. And you are correct that even Haggadot from the Middle Ages interpreted the Haggadah, changed it. I have given you examples how the Haggadah itself changes the observance of Pesach. They left the text the same, but the illustrations really changed. The illustrations. They couldn't change the text because it was, first of all, printing and all that stuff. But the illustrations of the Haggadah are the like in the Jewish Museum in New York, they're all over the place. The illustration. There are even Haggadot where they have illustrations from the Sephardic world of pagan gods in the margins. All right. Now, so the answer to your question is, so it is legitimate to reread the Haggadah in every generation and change it. I don't blame people. I like to do the classic Haggadah, but on the second night I take a lot of liberty. But that's legitimate. It's legitimate to do your own Haggadah. Your question is there a point beyond which you can't go? And I'm going to give you my answer. I think yes. I think once you have syncretistic Haggadot, meaning combining religions in the Haggadah, religions, I think you've gone beyond a boundary where you might as well not call it a Haggadah. All right? So, for example, there have been many pieces on this in popular literature in the newspapers. I have one in my file that I cut a few years ago, I think from the New York Times, where the food, somebody does the dishes of their grandmother for the Seder, and then they have Easter ham. And it's a Jewish, it's a mixed marriage family where they attest that it should be syncretistic, not particular. In my view, once you do that, you could call it whatever you want, but it's not a Haggadah, because a Haggadah is telling the particular story of the Jewish people. That's what it's in essence. So that, I think once you go to that level, I think you can do whatever you want, but it's not a Haggadah. Yes?